My name is Daniel Costa. I'm 38 years old, and I'm an emergency room physician at Hospital São Lucas in São Paulo. For most of my adult life, I've been a person of science, evidence, data, measurable outcomes. I never believed in near-death experience stories. Just hallucinations, I thought. Inventions of people seeking attention or trying to make sense of trauma. But what happened to me on September 14th, 2025, was so undeniably real that it shattered every rational framework I'd built my entire career upon. And what I'm about to share with you isn't just my personal testimony. It's a warning, a prophetic signal that almost all of us have been missing. A celestial event happening in just days that marks what I was told is the valley of decision for humanity. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I do. If someone had told me this story 6 months ago, I would have dismissed them immediately. But I can't stay silent anymore. Not when I know what I know, not when the date is almost here. Let me take you back to that night in September. I was 36 hours into my shift. We were chronically understaffed, as always, and the emergency room was absolute chaos. Trauma cases coming in one after another. A motorcycle accident. A construction worker with a crushed hand. A child with respiratory distress. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed, mixing with beeping monitors and the sharp chemical smell of antiseptic. Around hour 32, I caught my reflection in the supply room window. Bloodshot eyes, salt and pepper hair spreading across my temples. I looked like I belonged in one of the beds, not standing over them. But I pushed through. I was treating an elderly woman with chest pain when I felt it. A strange tightness in my own chest. At first, I thought it was exhaustion. I ignored it. I had a patient to stabilize. But the tightness became pressure, real and physical, like someone pressing a weight on my sternum. I excused myself, told the nurse to take over, and stepped into the hallway. That's when the world tilted. The fluorescent lights above me began to blur, stretching into long streaks of white. The sound of the monitors, the voices, everything started to fade, like someone was slowly turning down the volume of reality itself. My legs gave out. I remember the cold linoleum floor against my cheek as I collapsed. Then everything went dark. But what came next wasn't unconsciousness. It was the opposite, the most conscious, most aware moment of my entire life. I felt myself lifting, not physically, but something deeper. The essential part of me was being gently pulled upward, separating from my body. I wasn't afraid. I felt an overwhelming sense of peace, so profound that every moment of contentment I'd ever experienced suddenly felt like restless anxiety. The sterile hospital hallway dissolved. The beeping, the voices, the fluorescent lights, all of it faded into absolute silence. And then I saw it. Light. But not the kind of light you see with your eyes. This was light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It wasn't harsh or blinding. It was warm, alive, almost tangible. It felt like it was wrapping around me, holding me, seeing through me. I became aware of a presence intimately there, as if waiting for me to notice. I turned, though I had no body to turn with, and I saw him. Jesus, this has to be a hallucination, I thought. Oxygen deprivation, my dying brain creating comforting illusions. But what I felt obliterated every rational explanation. This presence knew me completely. Every hidden thought, every buried fear, every moment of doubt I'd never voiced. His eyes met mine with absolute authority and unconditional love. A love so complete it terrified me more than any diagnosis. I knew instantly I was fully known, with nothing to hide. And instead of shame, I felt seen for the first time in my life. His voice came not audible but deeper than sound, resonating in a place I didn't know existed. He said, "Daniel, you have spent your life measuring what can be seen. Now I will show you what has been missed." The realm around me shifted. The warm, infinite light gave way to something vast and cosmic. I was suspended in what I can only describe as the fabric of the universe itself. Stars surrounded me as living, blazing entities. Galaxies spiraled in slow, majestic rotations. I could see the curvature of space, the dance of celestial bodies in their ordained paths. Then he directed my attention to one planet, massive, radiant, banded with swirling clouds of cream and rust and gold. Jupiter. I wasn't looking at it through a telescope or photograph. I was seeing it as it truly was. Earth hung in the distance, small and blue and fragile. Jupiter and Earth and the Sun drew into a perfect line. Opposition. I felt the significance radiating like heat from a furnace. The presence beside me spoke again. On January 10th, 2026, this alignment will occur, but it is not merely a celestial event. It is a sign, a signal I have placed in the heavens as a marker. The Valley of Decision. Most will not see it, most will not understand, but you will carry this message. I wanted to ask why. Before I could form the question, he continued. This alignment marks a turning point. Humanity stands at a threshold. What has been hidden will be revealed. What has been ignored will demand attention, and each soul will choose. But the sign will go unnoticed by most, just as so many signs before it have been missed. The vision of Jupiter hung before me, glowing with divine luminosity. This was real. A real event. A real date. January 10th, 2026, days away from now. The vision began to pull away. I felt a violent, wrenching sensation, yanked backward by an invisible cord. The stars blurred. The presence faded. The warm light gave way to something harsh and clinical. Fluorescent lights. A shock of electricity tearing through my chest. Voices shouting. Hands pressing on my ribs. "We've got a pulse! He's back!" I gasped, air flooding into my lungs like fire. My eyes snapped open. I was on the floor of the hospital hallway, surrounded by my colleagues. A defibrillator cart beside me. One of the nurses had tears streaming down her face. My friend Carlos, another physician, was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen on him before. Relief mixed with something close to horror. "Daniel, you were gone," he said, his voice shaking. 7 minutes. Your heart stopped for 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Clinically dead for 7 minutes. And in those 7 minutes, I had been more alive than I'd ever been. They rushed me to a bed, started running tests. I was stable, no brain damage, no cardiac damage beyond extreme exhaustion and stress-induced cardiomyopathy. A medical anomaly. But I knew better. As I lay in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of my physical body again after having been so free from it, I knew that what I had experienced was no hallucination. It was no oxygen-starved delusion. I had been somewhere else. I had been shown something, and I had been given a task. Tell them about the signal. Tell them about January 10th. Tell them about the Valley of Decision. So I stayed silent for weeks. I went back to work, burying myself in the familiar rhythms of the ER. But the vision haunted me. Every night I saw that alignment, Jupiter and Earth and the Sun, drawing into a perfect line. I heard his voice, resonant and undeniable. Most will not see it. Most will not understand. But you will carry this message. I started researching late at night Jupiter, planetary alignments. And I found it. January 10th, 2026. Jupiter opposition. Real, scheduled, predicted, verified. Exactly as I had been shown. It was a prophecy. A divine appointment written into the clockwork of the cosmos long before I was born. And the more I researched, the more I realized how invisible this event was to most people. Astronomers knew it existed. But spiritually, prophetically, no one was talking about it. The signal was there, blazing in the sky, and almost everyone was missing it. Just like he said, deep down, I knew the truth. I had been chosen to see this, to share this. The internal war raged for months, my scientific mind versus the undeniable reality of what I had experienced, my professional reputation versus the divine mandate. Fear gripped me every time I thought about going public. But then I would remember his eyes, that gaze that saw through every pretense, every defense mechanism, every carefully constructed identity. I would remember the love in that gaze, a love that existed simply because I existed. And I realized that staying silent wasn't protecting me. It was disobeying the one being whose opinion actually mattered. So here I am, days before January 10th, 2026. days before the Jupiter opposition that I was shown in a vision during 7 minutes of clinical death. And I'm telling you what I was told to tell you. This alignment is not just an astronomical event. It is a prophetic marker, a valley of decision. I don't fully understand what that means yet. I don't have all the answers. But I know what I was shown. I know what I was told. And I know that the one who showed me has never lied, has never failed, and has never missed a detail. Most will not see it. Most will not understand. But you're hearing this now. You're being given the same information I was given. And that means you have a choice to make. Will you dismiss this as the ramblings of a physician who had a traumatic experience? Or will you consider, even for a moment, that there might be something more happening here? That the God who set the stars in motion might be using those very stars to send us a message? I spent my entire career trusting what I could measure, what I could see, what I could prove. And in 7 minutes, all of that was turned upside down. Because I encountered something, someone, who was more real than any physical reality I'd ever known. The Jupiter alignment is coming. January 10th is almost here. And I believe, with everything in me, that this marks the beginning of something profound. Something that will demand a response from every one of us. The Valley of Decision. That's what he called it. And most will not see it. But now you have. What will you do with that knowledge? I knew all the scientific explanations: hypoxia, temporal lobe seizures, DMT release. But none could account for what he showed me, or explain how I saw things I had no way of knowing. I went back to that celestial realm 3 more times in visions. Each time, the message became clearer, more urgent. Each time, I resisted a little less. The 3rd vision came while I was alone in my apartment, staring at medical journals I could no longer focus on. One moment I was reading about cardiac pathology, and the next I was standing again in that realm where time moves differently, where light communicates. He was waiting for me. "Daniel," he said, and just hearing my name spoken with such perfect love nearly broke me. "You still carry doubt. You still believe you can categorize this experience and file it away." My throat was tight with emotion I'd spent decades learning to suppress. "But doubt is not your real obstacle," he continued. "Fear is. You are afraid that accepting this truth means abandoning everything you've built. Your reputation. Your identity as a man of science. It was true. All of it. What if I told you," he said, "that science and spirit are not enemies? That the very laws you study were written by the same hand showing you these visions?" He gestured, and we were looking at the solar system from an impossible vantage point. Earth hung small and blue and fragile. Jupiter blazed in the darkness, massive and majestic, moving in its eternal orbit with clockwork precision. On January 10th, 2026, Jupiter will reach opposition, he said. Do you know what that means? Yes. Jupiter will be directly opposite the Sun from Earth's perspective. It's when Jupiter appears brightest. Every 13 months, roughly, I answered. It's a regular celestial event. Nothing unusual. Nothing unusual, he repeated, and my skin prickled. You see the mechanism but miss the message, Daniel. You see the clock hands moving but don't hear the alarm ringing. He moved his hand, and I was seeing layers of time. I saw Jupiter in opposition throughout history. With each opposition, I saw moments on Earth turning points, decisions made or missed. I saw one in 1939, months before a war that would consume the world. I saw one in 1968, a year of revolutions and assassinations. I saw one in 2001, weeks before towers fell. Not every opposition marks a major turning point, he said, reading my thoughts before I could form them into words. But certain alignments, certain moments when the heavens declare specific truth, these become valleys of decision for humanity. Moments when the choice between light and darkness becomes stark. When the path forward diverges and nations, communities, individuals must choose which way they will walk. And January 10th, 2026? I asked. He turned to me, the weight of his gaze almost physical. The Valley of Decision I mentioned in Joel chapter 3, he said. Do you know that passage? Let me show you, he said. And suddenly I was hearing words as if they were being written on my heart in real time. Multitudes, Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon will be darkened, and the stars no longer shine. Your generation stands in that valley now, he said quietly. The Jupiter opposition on January 10th is not the cause of what is coming. It is the marker, the sign that announces the season you have entered. Choosing what? I asked. Everything, he said simply. Humanity is approaching a threshold. Technological power is advancing faster than wisdom. Artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, the ability to alter consciousness itself. You stand on the edge of either a golden age or a dark descent. The Jupiter opposition is heaven's way of saying, pay attention. The hour is significant. What you choose in this season will echo for generations. But most won't see it, I said. Why show me this if most people will miss the sign? He smiled, filled with both sorrow and hope. Because you are not called to reach most people, Daniel. You are called to reach the ones who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The remnant who are watching. The faithful who understand that creation still speaks. That the heavens still declare truth. That nothing in my universe happens by accident. Some will dismiss you. Your colleagues will call it religious delusion. Skeptics will mock. But there will be others, those who have felt the unease in their spirits, who sense the weight of this moment, who have been praying for understanding. These will hear your testimony and recognize truth. They will look up on January 10th and see not just a planet, but a divine signpost. They will make different choices because of it. What kind of choices? I pressed. What specifically do you want people to do? He was quiet for a moment. The alignment marks the beginning of a 3-year window, he finally said. From January 2026 through January 2029, humanity will face critical decisions. Some will be obvious, public, collective choices. Others will be private, personal, in individual hearts. The test that is coming will expose what is in the hearts of multitudes. It will reveal who trusts in divine wisdom versus those who trust only in human power. It will separate those who choose love and truth from those who choose control and deception. You are making it sound apocalyptic, I said. I'm making it sound urgent, he corrected. Apocalyptic means revelation, unveiling what has been hidden. In this season, much that has been hidden will be revealed. Corruption will be exposed. Deception will be unveiled. Truth will stand naked before those who have eyes to see it. This will be uncomfortable. Many will prefer comfortable lies rather than face difficult truth. But for those who choose truth, who choose love, who choose to align themselves with divine wisdom, this season will be one of awakening and transformation. And it begins with a sign in the heavens. Jupiter in opposition. The wandering star returning to its appointed place at its appointed time, declaring that the cosmos still operates according to divine order. That randomness is an illusion. Those who see this sign and understand will be watching. They will be prepared. They will make the valley of decision a place of victory rather than defeat. I stood there, trying to absorb the magnitude of what he was telling me. My scientific mind wanted to argue, to demand specifics, to reduce this to something I could control. But another part of me, dormant for decades, was coming alive. The part that knew there was more to existence than what could be measured in a laboratory. Will you speak? He asked. Will you share what you have seen, knowing that it will cost you? I hesitated. The cost was real. I'd spent 20 years building credibility. One testimony about visions and prophetic alignments could destroy all of it. But I thought about the ones who were watching and waiting, the ones who needed to hear this message, the ones who would look up on January 10th and recognize the sign because someone had been brave enough to point it out. I thought about the alternative, staying silent, keeping this truth locked away to preserve a reputation built on incomplete understanding of reality. The answer, when it came, surprised me with its clarity. Yes, I said. I'll speak. I don't know how. I don't know what the consequences will be. But yes, I'll share what you've shown me. He smiled then. And the warmth of that smile filled me with courage I didn't know I possessed. Then you will not stand alone, he said. I will give you words when you need them. I will bring people across your path who need to hear this message. And on January 10th, when Jupiter reaches opposition, you will look up and remember this moment. You will remember that the universe is not silent, that heaven still speaks, that signs and seasons still matter in ways your materialist worldview could never comprehend. The vision began to fade. I felt myself being pulled back toward my physical body, back toward my apartment in Sao Paulo, back toward a life that would never be the same. Before I fully returned, he spoke one more time. Tell them that the Jupiter alignment is not about astrology or fatalism. It is about attention, about remembering that you live in a created cosmos, not a random accident, about looking up instead of only looking around. Tell them that January 10th is an invitation to pay attention, choose wisely, and step into the valley of decision with eyes open. Tell them that I am not distant or uninvolved, that I speak through creation, through prophets, through ordinary people like a skeptical physician who thought he understood reality until reality expanded beyond his comprehension. Tell them the signal is not missed unless they choose to miss it. Choosing to see, choosing to respond. This is the first step toward everything that comes next. And then I was back, sitting in my apartment, medical journals scattered around me. But I was no longer the same man. I am sharing this testimony with you now because the time has come. January 10th, 2026 is days away. Jupiter is moving into opposition as I speak these words. I don't expect everyone to believe me. I know what this testimony costs me professionally, and I've made peace with that cost. But there are some of you listening who have felt the weight of this moment. You've sensed something significant is approaching. You've felt the unease, the urgency, the sense that the world is standing on a threshold and your choice matters. This message is for you. Look up on January 10th. Watch Jupiter shine at its brightest. Remember that you are not looking at a random ball of gas and rock. You are looking at a sign, a marker, a divine declaration that your choices matter, that this season is significant, that the valley of decision is present, immediate, demanding response. What will you do with that knowledge? Will you choose truth over comfortable deception? Will you choose love over fear? Will you choose divine wisdom over human power? These are the choices that will define not just the next few years, but the trajectory of your life and the lives of those who come after you. The signal is here. The sign is in the heavens. The valley of decision has arrived. Most will not see it, but you have. Now the question is, what will you do?